Yo, what is going on, guys? J.Yumeko here, and today we're back with some more Cinderella Phenomenon Evermore. So, last time we left off, we finally were able to reunite with our brother Rod, although technically he's not our brother anymore, because he used a wish from Parfait, which basically made it to where, poof, he's not our brother anymore, and I believe he was working on something over at Karma's domicile. But yeah, so we're kind of like, we've moved past the whole siblings thing. And yeah, so that's where we are right now. But before we jump on into this episode, I just wanted to let you guys know a couple things that have been going on with me. So first off, I have started up another channel called Jevan Hobby. That's Jevan Hobby. I'll leave it linked in the description below if you guys would want to go check that out. I focus mainly on my diorama building and my model kit building, which is something that if you've looked back on this channel far enough, you'll see that that is a major part of what this channel was mainly about when I started it all those years ago. So if you're interested in that at all, I highly recommend going and check it out. That'd be awesome if you guys could subscribe to that channel over there. We got some big projects coming up. Other than that, though, college has started for me, so very likely I'm going to be getting pretty busy soon here. And I'm sorry if I sound a little bit tired in this video, because admittedly I am. I've just got a lot of stuff going on right now. But I still want to be able to get these videos out to you guys. And I also want to work on an actual schedule. I know I've said that I want to schedule so many times over, but right now I'm just kind of experimenting. And just kind of seeing if maybe posting, 2-3 videos in a week is maybe too much. And if I should have those longer gaps or not, yada yada yada. So it's just a lot of stuff to kind of keep track of and plan out ahead in the future. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump right on back into this. Go ahead and load our save file. There we go. It's our sister Emmeline.
Yumeko, it's me. I opened the door to find Emmeline, smiling at me so brightly she seems to shine. So did you see him? Let me guess. Everyone knew he was coming except for me. Well, it wouldn't have been much of a surprise if you knew. Emmeline closes the door behind her and walks over to sit on the bed. I notice that she has her hands behind her back. What if I told you we had another guest? Oh? Emmeline shifts, and I can see now that she's grasping a very familiar plush toy in her hands. Sebby!
Hello, Princess! Long time no see!
I reach forward to pat him affectionately on the head. It's good to see you again. I hope you've taken good care of Rod.
Of course! I've been standing in for Ophelia this whole time!
I'm glad Rod still brings Sebby around with him. Emmeline sighs and falls back against the bed with a content smile. It's really so nice to have Rod and Sebby back. You should have seen Mother last night. She was in tears. My heart sinks when I notice Emmeline's gloomy expression. It's unfortunate we can't openly show him any affection. Right, because the servants and nobles would be confused to see the royal family treating an outsider with such fondness. I'm sorry. What are you apologizing for, Yumeko? You didn't do anything wrong. I'm the reason Rod is no longer a part of the family. I'm the reason he's no longer your brother. Nonsense. No matter what, Rod is still and will always be my little brother. Little brother. Emmeline laughs. I know he definitely doesn't look like it anymore, but it's not like his height changes anything. She smiles wistfully. When we were younger, I remember adamantly telling him that he would never be as tall as me. He snapped at me, and from that day on drank at least 1 glass of milk every day.
Sounds like nothing's changed. Rod still drinks at least a glass of milk a day, you know.
The thought of a younger, irritable Rod makes me smile. Oh! Emmeline sits up suddenly and staring at the clock. It's true. Time really does fly when you're in good company, but it's about time we get along. Emmeline grabs my hand, and before I realise what's happening, she's pulling me out and into the corridor with her. Wait! Where are we going? Have you forgotten, Yumeko? It's time for our dance lessons. We don't want to be late for introductions. Dance lessons? What are you talking about? I don't have dance lessons. What is this all of a sudden? Well, Mother thinks that you should be taking them. Father even took the liberty of inviting one of the best dance instructors to Angiel.
Let me guess. It's Rod.
Emmeline winks as she pushes the doors to the throne room open. Everything I have been thinking falls to pieces the moment I enter the chamber and see Rod speaking with Father and Ophelia. Rod? Meet your new dance instructor. I hear he has quite a reputation in Brigantia.
There's no need to exaggerate, Em.
Exaggerating? Never. I only speak the truth.
Ah, you're finally here, Yumeko. I had no time to fill you in last night, but as I'm sure Emmeline explained, Rod is officially our new royal dance instructor.
I stare, baffled. Do they all know about this too? Rod clears his throat.
His Majesty tells me you require instruction in traditional Brigantian dancing.
His lips quirk mischievously.
I imagine you have a long way to go before you can boast about your skills.
I will make you swallow those words.
Good. That's the kind of spirit I like to see.
Father crosses his arms and smiles.
You understand, then. Rod will be staying with us as our very special guest until the ball.
Until the ball? What happens afterwards? The mischief fades from Rod's face abruptly. He turns away, eyes distant. Is he going to leave again? Yumeko, let's not think about that for now. That's right. Let's focus on the here and now. Ophelia and Emmeline's optimism lifts my heart. Ophelia has a point. I should make the most of the time. After the announcement, Father and Ophelia turn their discussion to the ball. Rod approaches me. In no time at all, his fingers are interlaced through mine.
Please be patient with me, Yumeko. I have a plan for the future. I promise.
I squeeze his hand back and nod. I hope he's right. I hope that this time I won't have to wait long.
Anxiety, Chapter 2. Oh wow, that's very loud for me.
The next day, as promised, we head down to show Rod around. Though it is mostly an excuse to spend time together, it's not entirely a lie. New establishments have opened up since Rod's last visit. Still, to avoid any suspicion, I asked Emmeline to accompany us. Several knights came along as escorts. It's been a long...
Okay.
It's been a long time since we all walked downtown like this, hasn't it?
Yes.
Emmeline has more energy than the two of us combined. She's been enthusiastically pointing at things since we arrived. Oh, look! A stall is selling fresh apples! Emmeline rushes ahead, one of the knights trailing behind her. Rod sighs and crosses his arms. You've been sighing a lot since we arrived. Is something wrong?
I just feel uncomfortable being the centre of attention. People see me wandering around with the two of you and they can't help but stare.
I glance over my shoulder, realizing he's correct. I've become so accustomed to being in the public eye that I've stopped noticing. I apologize. I didn't think it would get so many looks.
You don't need to apologize. I will do this for you again in a heartbeat.
Though I cannot openly show any affection towards Rod at the moment, I flash him my best smile, hoping he sees how grateful I am. Thank you, Rod.
There's no need to thank me. I'm enjoying the fresh air.
When I look at him skeptically, he just shrugs.
Really?
It's the last thing he says before Emmeline returns. We continue to peer at newly opened stalls, and only return to the palace when we realise the time for our dance lessons is fast approaching. The next day, Father officially introduces Rod as our dance instructor. The announcement causes quite a stir, and soon all the servants are talking about him. It's not long before gossip spreads through Angiel. Most of what people are saying is positive. It seems Rod does have quite the reputation. It's amazing that Rod has made a name for himself in such a short time. I hope he overhears his conversations and is proud of himself. I certainly am. I'm on my way to the throne room when I hear one such conversation between two maids.
So, what do you think of the new dance instructor?
He looks to have a stern demeanour, but I'm sure he's a secret charmer. They giggle.
I'm impressed that when so young has earned so much prestige in Brigantia. I can only imagine how talented he must be.
And he's handsome to boot.
I wonder what he looks like when he smiles. He always has such a scowl on his face.
Do they ever tire of gossiping?
But it's strange, isn't it? Sir Rod has visited the palaces many times before. I wonder why... Oh!
Oh?
Do you suppose he's courting Princess Emmeline? They seem very close.
Oh, maybe you're right. I nearly choke on my own breath and have to put a hand to my mouth to keep me from laughing.
Do you know what's strange, though? The fact that they look so similar.
That is rather odd.
Do you think that he could be courting Princess Yumeko?
You think? From what I overhear, Princess Yumeko's never expressed interest in any of the suitors. Well, I guess I am grateful no one has caught on to that tad bit of gossip at least. I shake my head as I make my way to the throne room. Rod and Emmeline look up in unison when I step inside. Emmeline immediately shoves her hands behind her back and smiles at me. It's a strange, strange smile.
Hello, Yumeko.
Are you okay?
Of course. Why wouldn't I be?
Her voice actually squeaks, and I'm unsure of whether to be confused or concerned. I raise an eyebrow. Rod gives Emmeline a gentle nudge. Aren't you going to be late for your piano lessons, Em?
Oh, you're right. I'll see you both later.
Emmeline makes a beeline for the door and only slows as she gets closer to me. She turns and, obviously hiding something behind her back, continues to sidestep toward the door. You're acting strange.
It's just your imagination.
The last thing to leave her mouth before she exits is an excruciatingly awkward laugh. Rod looks like he's just trying not to cringe. Emmeline is a terrible liar. I turn to Rod expectantly. Ooh, stay silent or ask Rod about Emmeline's behavior. Well, clearly there's no maliciousness going on here. And I'm kind of getting the feeling that this is one of those things where it's like, you know that they're up to something, but you don't really prod or pry because, you know, clearly it's something that they're wanting to keep secret specifically from you. But obviously not in the way of any kind of maliciousness. So I think I'm going to go ahead and stay silent about it. They're obviously keeping a secret from me, but I'm more amused than irritated. I cannot help the smile on my face. What is it? Nothing. Nothing at all. There it is. Rod smiles, if not a little awkwardly, before turning to a nearby table to look at his music sheets. The table is new. Father had it placed here for our lessons. So, have you heard the latest gossip? Rod groans. Please tell me you're not actually interested in that. I assure you that this gossip is a little more entertaining. How so? I overheard a rumor that you were courting Emmeline today. Rod stares at me in horror. I laugh at his reaction. You're just messing with me. No, it's the truth. Who started this rumor? Do they not realize how ridiculous it is? Rod pinches the bridge of his nose. Why did it have to be M? There was nothing about you. I suppose we have no chemistry. That just means our acting is impeccable. How much longer are we going to pretend, Rod? It's been 2 years. You made this wish so we didn't have to hide. So why are we still doing this? Rod looks away, eyes distant. Are you still afraid that people will think you unworthy because you're a commoner? Rod flinches. I saw what Mother went through after marrying the king. I know it must have been a difficult transition, but Ophelia is well loved. I look at him, perplexed. Are you scared you would have to go through the same thing as Ophelia? I don't care what people say about me. I'm concerned about what they'll say about you. Rod, you already know that I don't care what others say about me. I'm no stranger to shutting people out. I've lived most of my life being hated by this kingdom, Rod. I think I can handle myself just fine. You're right. Maybe it's just me after all. Rod. Rod abruptly shrugs, as if shirking the worry from his shoulders. Let's not talk about this right now. I just remembered something I wanted to discuss with you. Oh? What's this all of a sudden? It's about the last letter you sent. Oh, right. I suppose I sounded very angry in that letter, but... How did you even read it? I sent it out 3 days before you arrived. Emmeline retrieved it from the messenger before it was sent out. He frowns. I read it. I assume you're still mad at me for making that wish. How could I not be? You sacrificed so much only to leave. You know the reason I made that wish, Yumeko. Yes, I do know, but that does not mean I cannot regret it on your behalf. Before, we made the decision to hide together. Now you have made it so that you are the only one who must sacrifice everything. It's not anger, but sadness that causes sparks to jump at my fingertips. I close my eyes and take deep breaths to calm myself down. Are you alright? I'm fine. When I open my eyes again, the sparks are gone. Rod sighs. I wanted this, Yumeko. Not just for you, but for myself too. Being a prince was a constant reminder of how much I lied to the world about who I was. With this wish, I started living a life crafted by my own hands. But, before I can say anything else, Rod has closed the distance between us and pressed his lips to mine, effectively cutting off my words. Afterwards, he pulls back and looks right into my eyes, his face flushed. It strikes me that this has happened more than a few times. Must you always do that so suddenly? Rod grumbles and shrugs. It's always the easiest way to get you to stop talking. Anyway, I love you, Yumeko, and I would do anything for you. No matter what happens in the future, I know I will never regret this wish. Rod sets a hand on my shoulder and squeezes. Stop worrying about all of this, okay? I promise it'll work out. I cannot promise, but I will certainly try. That's good enough for me. Now, he reaches for my hand and plants a kiss on the back of it. Shall we continue where we left off yesterday? I smile as I place my other hand on his shoulder. We shall. These past 2 days, Rod has been teaching me some of the Brigantian dances he learned. This dance in particular is full of energy and involves a lot of twirling and side steps. Rod leads me into spin after spin. We've both become comfortable enough dancing with each other that we do not need to focus on our steps when we move. I'm glad, because it allows me to focus on his serene expression. Is there something on my face? I shake my head. Nothing but your wonderful smile. I was just thinking about how much I miss dancing with you. Same here, but now we can do it every day. Yes, only how much longer will every day last? By the time the song is stopped, I am almost out of breath. A job well done, Yumeko. You still need to practice your footwork, but you're learning quickly. Rod leads me to a chair and hands me a glass of water. Thank you. I gulp down at least half the glass before facing Rod. That dance was exhausting. How are you not out of breath? I've had a lot of practice. Once you get used to the steps, they become cathartic. You just need to build stamina. It's a dance that suits Brigantians, though. They're very lively. I look at Rod, curious. Can you tell me more about life in Brigantia? Rod seems to ponder quietly for a few moments. Then, after some consideration, he pulls out a chair and sits beside me. He begins by telling me how difficult life was for him at the beginning, especially given that he had never left the kingdom before. He was constantly homesick, but Claude and his family were able to lighten that burden by being overly accommodating. At first it was overwhelming. Eventually, however, Rod became accustomed to the royal family's enthusiasm. He tells me very briefly about them. When he brings up Lance, Claude's brother, I cannot help but wonder. I have spoken to Lance a few times. He seems more cordial than Claude, but I don't know him very well. I wonder what he's like. Sorry, I just cracked my back. Rod crosses his arms. Being a student was easier than being a teacher. Back when I lived here, all I needed to do was study. I might not be very good at most of my classwork, but at least it was straightforward work. Really? Emmeline told me once that you were a fast learner. She said you knew how to sing, dance, cook. Rod flushes. I excelled in those things because I enjoyed them, not because I was a good student. I look at him, curiously. I've never heard you sing or watched you cook. Rod shrugs. Dancing was the easiest way for me to express myself when I lost my voice. Now it feels like the most natural thing to focus on. But traditional classwork has never come easy to me. And here I was thinking that you were bad at expressing your feelings. Oh, and here I was thinking the only thing you were bad at was expressing your feelings. Rod's cheeks turn an endearing shade of pink as he scowls at me. You're the worst. He sighs as he glances out the window at some distant sight. So, what are you bad at then? Why'd you ask me that? Because I'm curious. You have to promise not to laugh. I won't. Rod stares down at his hands and sighs. History, politics, fencing, remembering dates and names in combat. My swordsmanship is atrocious. There's a clear distress in Rod's eyes when he confesses this to me. His usual stoic facade is broken. The Rod I see before me looks vulnerable and anxious. I cannot help but smile. Why are you smiling? I'm always happy when you open up to me. It makes me feel like I'm a part of your life. Then, from now on, I'll make sure to tell you even the little things. I would love that. Once my dance lessons are over, I head back to my room to practice creating simple potions. It's a solitary task, one I normally practice in my free time. However, probably because I'm always so bored during the experiments, I sit up groggily, realizing belatedly that I've fallen asleep at my desk. Various potion ingredients lay scattered on the surface. I stare at the clock. It's already the next day. How in the world did I sleep through last night's dinner? A knock sounds at the door. Your Highness, His Majesty requests your presence in the throne room. Understood. I wonder what he wants from me so early in the morning. Father seated on the throne when I enter. Rod stands before him. Good morning, Yumeko. Good morning, Father. I approach warily. I called you here for an important announcement. Rod, would you like to do the honors? I'm surprised by the growing smile on Rod's face. Oh, wow! Let's go, baby! I've officially asked permission from His Majesty to court you, Yumeko. I stare between the two of them with wide eyes. When did this happen? Last night. You were already asleep, so we thought it would be best to wait until morning to tell you. I turned my baffled gaze to Rod, who's still smiling. I thought about what you said. I agree. It's time we stop hiding. There's no reason for us anymore. I move before I can think. In a heartbeat, I have my arms wrapped around Rod's waist, my head on his shoulder. It feels as if a momentous weight has suddenly been lifted from my shoulders. There will be no more hiding. Which means I no longer have to hide my affection for him. News of our courtship spreads like wildfire. I'm accustomed to gossip and am unfazed by the attention, but I can tell Rod is unnerved by the sudden spotlight. Still, we both do our best to continue our daily routines. I do notice, however, that Rod has become busier in recent days. He tells me that he's been meeting with Father about important matters. I figure it's about the upcoming ball. I've just finished my dance lessons for the day. Though Rod is meeting with Father in the throne room, I have no such obligations and decide to return to my room to read up on potion making. I'm passing by the dining hall when I pause, hearing voices inside. And because he was so embarrassed, he ended up running away. I hear laughter. And that definitely sounds like Rod. Those voices. I push open the door to the hall. Oh, it's Emmeline, okay. Ophelia and Emmeline look up when I enter. I'm shocked to see Sebby there too, sitting on Emmeline's shoulder. Before, Rod and Sebby were inseparable, but ever since Rod returned, I've barely seen them together. I wonder why. Oh, hello, Yumeko.
Perfect timing! We were just talking about...
Emmeline cups her hand to her mouth, casts a surreptitious look over my shoulder, and then whispers,
Rod.
Obviously. Ophelia beckons me over to the table, then turns back to Sebby. So, what happened after that?
He refused to step out of his room the whole day. When others asked after him, he feigned sickness.
Emmeline sighs.
Why didn't he just refuse the gifts?
Probably because most of them were from noblewomen, and refusing outright would have been insulting.
What is it about gifts to noblewomen?
Oh, I was just telling everyone how popular Rod is with the Begratian noblewoman. He was sent for his gifts from young women on Hearth's Day, but because he didn't want to refuse them, he avoided everyone altogether by staying in his room.
I do not realize I'm glaring until Ophelia places her hand on my arm. Yumeko? I force a scowl from my face immediately, not even sure why it was there in the first place.
You don't need to worry, Princess. He told him that he was in love with someone else.
I can feel my face heat at his words.
Oh, you're blushing.
I am not.
I promised to look after Rod, and I intend to keep that promise. And that goes for you too, Princess. If I have to drive away 100 women, I'll do it.
The thought of a tiny plush bunny attempting to scare off a gaggle of girls makes me laugh. Before I know it, I become absorbed in the conversation. Hours later, when our conversation winds down, I make my way back to my room to read my potion books. Today I'm going to the marching for one of my magic lessons, or at least that was the plan. Just yesterday, however, I received a letter from Parfait saying there was a change in plans. Everyone at the marching has decided to throw a small celebration for Rod and me. At first, Rod seemed reluctant to go, but he couldn't refuse after Parfait personally requested his presence. In the end, the two of us agreed to go by carriage. Rod is already standing by the carriage when I arrive. I smile when our eyes meet, but Rod only nods, his mind seemingly elsewhere. I immediately notice the dark circles under his eyes. Everything alright? I'm fine. I just didn't get much sleep last night. I was reading the King's books far past midnight. The King's books? I found out only a few days ago that Father started lending Rod specific study materials. Apparently these books are meant to teach Rod more about the policies and rules governing a kingdom. I hope you're not overworking yourself. Rod smiles. It is a tired, but thankfully reassuring smile. I'm not. He holds out a hand and helps me onto the carriage. No sooner have we entered the royal town than some of the townsfolk, noticing the royal carriage, begin to wave at us. The response is uplifting. Before, the masses avoided me. Now, things are different. Things first began to change when I made a public apology after breaking my curse. The townsfolk were at first skeptical of whether or not I would follow in my mother's footsteps as a Tenenbaum bearer, but their trust began to grow when I started dispelling fairy tale curses. Princess! I look out the window and see a little boy running to keep pace with the carriage. Can I give you something? A gift, please? I order the carriage to a stop and step out. The boy flashes a toothy grin. Then, without any preamble, he holds out a lily. I got this for you, Princess! I take the flower from him with a gentle smile. Thank you. The boy clasps his hand behind his back and smiles shyly. Someday I'll become a prince and marry you. I'm simultaneously bemused and taken aback by the confession. I appreciate your gift, but I'm afraid I'm already courting a prince. I gesture at Rod, who stands between me and the carriage. The boy blinks. But he's not a real prince, right?
Oh, shit! Come on, man. Why you gotta say that about our boy like that, bruh? Alright. That doesn't matter, or you're right. That doesn't matter, or you're right. But he's not a real prince, right? Ooh, this is tough, man. I mean, yeah, you're right, right? I feel like I'm kind of trapped between, do I want to take the route of, like, being like, oh, well, that doesn't matter and everything's fine and dandy, or just be straight up and be like, hey, in all honesty, you're right, he's not a prince, but that doesn't, but, you know, that also simultaneously conveys that, you know, yeah, he's not a prince, but we can still be together kind of deal. So I think I'm going to go with you're right. We're going to teach him young and teach him proper.
I kneel down in front of the boy so we can see eye to eye. But you do not need to be a prince to marry a princess.
Really?
Ophelia's words come to mind. One's title should not be a hindrance when it comes to love, she once said.
Yeah, even if the title is brother and fucking sister? Damn.
Everyone is free to love whoever they want. The boy looks between the two of us. His bright smile returns.
That must mean Sir Rod loves you very much.
I glance at Rod, whose cheeks have reddened to a soft crimson.
With all my heart.
The words come out a low mumble, and only the boy and I can hear them. Still, they make my heart flutter. I give the boy my heartfelt thanks before stepping back into the carriage. With all your heart, Rod crosses his arms and turns his head away, but there's no hiding the flush in his cheeks.
You already know that.
Of course I do, but you're not the type to boldly declare your love in front of others.
I wouldn't say I did it boldly. There it is, baby.
Rod's voice is an embarrassed mumble. I cross my arms, thoughtful. I confess, I was a little taken aback by his comment.
Regardless of where his curiosity's from, the boy was right. I'm not a prince.
Why is that a problem? You yourself did not wish to remain a prince.
I know that.
He smiles weakly before returning his attention back to the view outside the window. Something definitely seems off about him. Princess Yumeko, Rod, welcome! Anise is the first one to welcome us when we arrive at the mansion. No sooner have we stepped inside, however, that another person makes himself known.
I'm gonna guess it's Karma. If it isn't everyone's favorite princess. Oh, fuck, it's not. Wait, is it? No, yeah, it's him. Rumpel is what we knew him as in the first game.
Saulia's smile is as sunny as always. He steps forward and sweeps into a courteous bow.
It's been a while, Princess Yumeko.
That it is. Hello, Chevalier. Ever since Chevalier's curse was broken, he's been working at his clinic. Gone is the tenacious flirt I used to know. In his place is an optimistic doctor, who still makes ill-timed jokes. Soon we're surrounded by people. Rod stands awkwardly in the centre of the room, surrounded by Chevalier, Anise, Delora, and Parfait. Walt's seated away from the commotion, leaning on an armrest with a grin on his face. Parfait's cousin, Sina, is seated by the window, reading a book. He's not greeted either of us.
That's another character. We haven't actually met Sina, is the thing. I don't know what route we would have to go down in the first game to meet him, but yeah, we've not met him.
Maybe this is just my imagination, but... Delora raises an eyebrow.
Her Royal Highness is looking particularly buoyant today.
And are your cheeks red? What? Delora, you shouldn't tease Yumeko so much. Parfait beams. Being able to flaunt one's love is always a thing to celebrate.
Delora looks at me and snorts. Who are you and what have you done with the princess? I still can't believe you fell in love.
I bristle at her words. It's not as if this is news. And anyway, what is that supposed to mean, Laura?
Sorry, princess.
You're just so much fun to tease. But in all seriousness, I'm glad you found someone just as stubborn as you to cherish.
I'm standing right here.
Delora turns a grin to Rod.
You must have some magic of your own, being able to melt the Ice Princess's heart.
Come now, Delora, you're embarrassing them.
They make it far too easy, Parfait.
Rod turns away with a grumble, arms crossed. Chevalier breaks the momentary silence with an easygoing laugh.
It really is a pleasure to see you again, Rod. I haven't seen you since you left for Brigantia that first time. I believe the last time you were...
He pauses, considering.
Well, you were much shorter. But now look at you. You're almost as tall as the rest of us.
He reaches out as if to set a hand on Rod's head, but Rod pulls away with a grimace.
What do you mean almost as tall?
Rod pointedly clears his throat and steps between Rod and Chevalier.
So, how are things at the palace lately?
Rod's expression softens. I can tell he's relieved by the change in subject. They're alright. Busier than normal, but that's what's to be expected with the news. Chevalier steps forward and squints at us in turn. What? There are dark circles under your eyes. Have you been under more stress lately? Rod raises an eyebrow. It's rude to impede on someone else's space. Ah, my apologies. Chevalier takes a step back. And I'm fine. Though Chevalier is quiet, I can tell by the wrinkle between his eyebrows that he's unconvinced. Before I can say anything else, I decide to offer my own opinion.
He is under more stress or he's doing well. Dang, that was another hard one. Because this is kind of like the... Oh, man, okay. This is... fuck me, okay. So, he's like a clinician, right? So, he is under more stress. Would maybe get him to, like, fess up and be like, oh, yeah, well, maybe I am. Saying he's doing well... I think at this point we've already kind of, like, as... our own character, we've already realized that he's not exactly being completely truthful with us in terms of how he's doing, in terms of his health. But I feel like pressuring it out of him in this context and in this space when it's supposed to be like a celebratory get-together might not be the best place to do it. And I also think that, again, I can kind of relate to it when it's like, you know, you don't want to admit to everybody that you're maybe not feeling as good as you claim to be feeling, or that, you know, it might be something that you might feel more comfortable admitting in a bit more of a private context. So I think we're going to go ahead and just say that he is doing well.
He's just been busy is all. He's working as a dance instructor and taking lessons with the king.
Your concern is unwarranted and unnecessary.
Chevalier smiles. Sorry, I am by nature a worrier. It's true. Chevalier takes his work seriously.
A little too seriously in my opinion.
Lady Delora, I'm only trying to keep my patients healthy. He shakes his head. Anyway, I'm relieved I'm just overthinking this. I lean closer to Rod and whisper in his ear as the conversation carries on. You're not allowed to overwork yourself. Understood? Rod sighs.
Understood.
He smiles, but it does not reach his eyes. Somewhere nearby, a book snaps shut. Must all of you be so loud?
Oh, who the fuck is this? Oh, it's Cinna.
Cinna approaches, book tucked under his arm.
I swear, a person can't read in peace in this place.
I don't know what kind of voice I'm going to give this motherfucker.
He stalks out of the room with a glare fixated to his face. There's a silence for a few moments when he leaves. Then, Chevalier laughs.
The tiny lord is lively as always.
Tiny lord? Why does he come up with the strangest nicknames? I guess that's one way of describing him. He may seem temperamental, but I assure you Cinnamon is quite pleasant once you get to know him. I glance at Rod. He seems like a certain someone I know. Rod says nothing. Even as I watch, he stifles a yawn. His eyes look glassy. Exactly how many hours of sleep did you get last night?
An hour or two?
Rod, you're definitely pushing yourself too hard. Chevalier's right. You should take better care of yourself. I know you. You are always pushing yourself. Rod shakes his head.
Never mind. It's nothing.
What? I know there's something on your mind, Rod.
Oh?
Rod responds with a smile. When I continue to scowl at him, he plants a kiss on my forehead.
I swear it's nothing important. Don't worry. I'll get some rest when we get back to the palace.
Fine. Though not all of the old boarders are present today, we decided to make the most of our small reunion. Anise prepares a small meal for dinner, and the gathering is lively.
It's a shame Sir Garden and Lady Julian couldn't be here, and it's been months since we last saw Prince Claude.
The Knights wanted me to apologize on their behalf. They've been busy with training new recruits. And the last time Claude rode, he was busy with his duties. I doubt he'll be free anytime soon.
I'm glad they still send us letters every so often. I do rather miss having Miss Carmel around.
Chevalier groans. Speak for yourself. Miss Carmel's always staring daggers at me. With good reason. Lady Delora.
Parfait laughs. I'm sure we'll get the chance to have a bigger reunion soon.
The conversation goes on, but I notice one person has remained quiet throughout. Rod has not spoken a word since we started eating.
Is it because he's tired, stressed, or is there something else on his mind?
I hope I can get to the root of whatever it is soon. Alright. No more secrets. Chapter 3, baby. Alright, we are going to cut it off there. Yeah, that's pretty solid. Pretty solid point to go ahead and stop it. There you go. And then we're going to go ahead and go back to the main menu. Yes, thank you. Alrighty, guys. Well, some more interesting events going on. Looks like this playthrough will not be without conflict. Now, again, it does seem as though they have a right or wrong system, insinuating that they have a good and bad ending. And it does make me kind of curious what that bad ending might be. So I suppose that once we get through Rod's route, I will probably go back and, I don't know, we might search up like a tutorial or like a YouTube video or something. Maybe we can see what that bad ending would be. Or hey, if you guys want me to actually go back and play through and get the bad ending, I would be completely down to do that. It won't take much effort, so that might be something we will do. But yeah, as for everything else that happened in this episode, I think that Rod is definitely kind of feeling the pressure here. And like, I get it from both sides though, because for us, it's like, you know, like we said, at first it was both of us hiding it, but now it's just him that's having to hide it. Or it's basically him taking on this huge amount of kind of stress and responsibility on his shoulders because of the wish that he made, pretty much without our opinion. But I think that at this point, it's going to be one of those things where Rod's definitely kind of feeling the heat. Because like he said, studying doesn't come easy to him. And not only is it the pressure of maybe not being so like study or like educational oriented, I guess you could say. Now he's having to learn about all the rules and yada 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 of the kingdom because he's going to become king. He's going to become the prince, eventually becoming the king. So there probably is a lot of stress on his behalf, not only because he's wanting to prove to others and himself and to us that he's worthy of being by our side, but also to prove that he's worthy to be the prince, to be the king. And again, like I mentioned earlier, the stress of not being the best at studying and kind of taking in that information. It's never really come naturally to him, like he said. But yeah, that's going to be it for this time. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video and tell me in the comment section below what you'd like to see me play next. If you enjoyed this video or any of the videos or series on my channel, then I highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you'll be notified when one of those videos comes out. And again, if you guys would be so awesome to go ahead and check out my hobby channel, which will be linked in the description below, and just check it out, see if you like it, maybe subscribe to it. That'd be awesome. Anyways, yeah, see you in the next one.